So it's that time of the year again when a new Next.js version is released. So today the Next.js 14 was released. Let's go through the release notes and see what's new in it. So here I have the release blog post open and I will leave a link to this in the description. So let's dive right in. So first of all, they made some improvements to the local development performance with the pages and app router. It looks like there is now 5,000 integration tests for Next.dev that are passing with Turbo Pack. And that totals about 90% of all of the tests. So this gives faster and more reliable performance when using the Next.dev -- Turbo. And once there is 100% of the tests passing, they will move TurboPack stable in the upcoming releases, but also continue to support Webpack for configurations and ecosystem plugins. And if you want to follow the progress of that, you can check this website over here for more information. Then next, about forms and mutations. So first they have this example over here about how Next.js 9 introduced the API routes and how you would communicate with the backend with API routes. And if we scroll down a little bit, we can see that related to this, the server actions are now stable, which is pretty cool. So the server actions were introduced in an earlier version of Next.js, and they have been in alpha ever since, but now they are stable. So what server actions enable us to do is actually use backend features without making any API routes or route handlers for each endpoint that we need. But we can rather just define the server code inside of our component with the use server directive. And in this example, the server action is used with the form action attribute, but this is not a requirement, and you can also call the server actions as a functions too. And if you are using this with TypeScript, you get the full end-to-end type safety between the client and the server, which is something that I personally am pretty excited about and looking forward to test more. Okay, let's scroll down a little bit more, and right here we can also see that the server actions are deeply integrated into the app router model, and you can do stuff like revalidate path or tag with them, or redirect, use cookies, and then also these three, I would say, kind of new hooks. I think these were also in alpha or beta previously, but you can get the optimistic update hook, or use the use form state or use form status hook to display loading states or cache errors, or just display optimistic updates in your UI. So those are pretty interesting, and I'm planning on trying them out a bit more now and maybe make a video about those in the future. The next thing that was announced was partial pre-rendering, and this is in preview at the moment. And the motivation behind this is that there is currently too many runtimes, configuration options, and rendering methods to consider. And I agree with this. So this partial pre-rendering doesn't require us to learn any new APIs, which is good, and it is built on React suspense. So how this partial pre-rendering works is that it basically generates a static shell based on our suspend boundaries and pre-renders the fallback from our React suspense boundaries. And then the suspend fallbacks are replaced with dynamic components once the data for those is ready. So when a request is made, this is basically the static HTML shell that is immediately served. And then the data and content for these components that were wrapped inside of suspend boundaries is dynamically replaced when the content for those dynamic components is ready. So this sounds very interesting, and I think the cool part also is that it doesn't require us to learn any new APIs. So I'm really looking forward to testing this out and seeing how it develops. So it's still in preview, so that's something to keep in mind. Next up, we had metadata improvements. So with Next.js 14, the blocking and non-blocking metadata are decoupled. And this ensures that non-blocking metadata will not prevent the partially pre-rendered page from serving the static shell immediately. So here we have some deprecated options. So the viewport, color scheme, and theme color are now deprecated, and two new options are added that replace the deprecated ones. so the viewport and generate viewport. And these are something we can start adopting right away, as stated in here. Next up, if we scroll down a little bit, we have the Next.js Learn course. So this is a brand new free course on Next.js Learn, and it can be accessed from here. So if we open it up, it's nextjs.org/learn, and looking at these topics over here, it looks really comprehensive and it has a lot of stuff on things that you would need if you want to build a fully functioning Next.js application and deploy it to production. I haven't obviously studied any of those chapters yet. I just skimmed through it, but it looked very good. And if you're new to Next.js, or even if you know your way around Next.js well, I think this course will have something for you too, or at least you should check it out and see what you think of it. I know I will definitely be checking out a couple of those chapters in the course. So that's pretty much what we have. There are still some other changes, but we won't go into those right now. So what do I think about this new release? Well, one thing I love about Next.js is the developer experience and the amount of effort they put into educating us developers. And that is, of course, super good if you want people using your framework. But other than that, there were no new APIs or big major features in this release. Probably the biggest, in my opinion, is that the server actions are now stable, which was kind of expected since they had been in alpha or beta. I'm not sure, but either way, they had been in alpha or beta for a while now, so that was kind of expected. But I don't actually personally mind that there wasn't any major things right now. I think we have had quite a lot of those in the previous releases, so this was kind of good, and I think it's nice to see Vercel putting effort in the documentation and educating the developers also, and making the current features stable. But yeah, I'm looking forward to trying out the server actions more now that they are stable, and also checking out the Next.js Learn course. And if you haven't already, please hit the subscribe button below, because I will be making more Next.js videos and tutorials in the future. And if you're new here, check out my previous videos. There is a bunch of good Next.js content over there. But yeah, I know this was just a short video summarizing the new features of Next.js 14, but I felt that I wanted to make this video and talk through these updates with you guys. But that's it for now. I'll see you in the next video.